In this movie, we're gonna look at the career mode. If you're interested in what the career mode in Flight Simulator 2024 is, then this video is good for you. So let's roll the intro and let's start looking at what the career mode is and also what it isn't. Welcome to this Flight Simulator update movie. As already mentioned, we're gonna look into the career mode. And the career mode is a brand new mode in Flight Simulator 2024. And it will allow you to pass certain certifications after you did the correct training, of course. And after that, perform certain missions. The nice thing about this whole system is that it will allow you to select different careers, right? So you can, for example, rescue people, but you can also fly around the world, I would say transporting people, bring them to their vacations or maybe business travel. And that's pretty cool. Those missions and those careers are, say, being performed using different aircraft. So, for example, the one which you see here, right, the fighter aircraft, that one can be used to, I would say, extinguish fires, and that career might not be available on all the airports because there needs to be a fire close to the airport before you can use this one. The same thing is for the helicopters, right? Might also not be available at every airport. So be aware that in some cases you need to select an airport which meets certain criteria before you can really use it. That's about the airport selection and the mission types, right? So what you can do is after you start Flight Simulator, you need to create an avatar, right? That's your pilot, which you can see is standing here in front of Emmanuel Leroux, which is the flight instructor. The good thing about the character, it can be changed in Flight Simulator 2024. And it also is being used in other game modes. So not only in the career mode, but also in the other game modes. So that's starters. Really nice. So in this case, it's a really stalking, nice and after that, they will take off and fly. The good thing about this screenshot that you can see is that it's really a little bit comparable with the screenshot from Flight Simulator 2020, right? You can see the instructions, you can see the steps which you need to take, and after that, after you get a right score from the instructor, you can proceed with the next step. The good thing is that if you are an experienced player, you can skip these trainings and then attempt certification directly. So certification is mandatory, but those training missions are optional. So keep that in mind, and that will allow, say, skilled players to progress more quickly compared to the starters, which I think is a really nice option. The good thing about these certifications is that it's really a framework, right? So the framework starts with certain parts, and if you, would say, are passing a certain part, then it will show a next part which you can do. So in this picture, you can see the pilot, would say, probably studying, but in the next picture, you can see what I mean, right? So in this case, the jet engine rate is one of the certifications. Then you can see the high performance endorsement. And some of those, say, pictures are still grayed out, right? There's kind of a fog over it. The more missions you complete or the more certifications you will get, say, the more, images will become visible. And then you can really start proceeding with the next one and the next one and the next one until you meet all the requirements to get that complete certification, which is really cool. So Asobo calls it the fog of war, right? Of war, right? So we can see, in this case, the tail wheel endorsement is grayed out, but also the scoop endorsement is rolled out, or not rolled out, grayed out, I should say. So that's, I would say, pretty nice. Then if we're looking at these missions, right? So if we're proceeding with the next one, you can see that there are a lot of missions. So in this case, there's the ferry flight, the flight seeing, the skydive aviation, the aerial advertising, and also there's the first flight, right? Which makes sense. And on the top, you can see either you're doing it with the airplane or with the rotorcraft. So you've got two options, which is really cool. Now, you might ask, okay, hey, what about these missions, right? Are they really static, or will there be an option for third-party developers to add some content? Currently, it's not possible for third-party developers to create their mods and to create their career modes. I would say that's as far as I understood and explained by Asobo is due to the fact that these are running on the server side, so not in the community folder, for example. However, the good news is that you will be able to use third-party aircrafts in the career mode. However, they must meet certain conditions, right? So there's an analyzer which performs a check on the third-party aircraft, and if it's compliant for the mission requirements, then you will be able to use it. In the developer calls, they said, okay, for example, if you're doing an aerial advertising mission, then the plane needs to have a hook feature. If it doesn't have it, it doesn't make any sense that you can use it, right? That's, would say, pretty logical, I would say. Then will Asobo add new missions in the career mode? They mentioned that in the world updates, you shouldn't expect any updates to the career mode, right? But they can still add things to the career mode if they want. So there is an option, but likely I would say it will not be on short term that they will start adding these features, but likely I would say on the longer term, likely they will first work on some other things before they will give you that option, which they again probably makes a lot of sense. Then here's the aerial advertising one, right, where you can see what you need to do. There's an explanation. And once you pass the training, you can say, try this mission, assuming that you've got the certification, of course. Uh, but that also brings in some other challenges. For example, what happens if you're crashing with the aircraft? That's where damage comes into. And damage will have an effect on your reputation. So if you're crashing, then it will have a negative effect on your reputation, right? So reputation will go down. So in this case, you can see +5 bonus for each mission and 5% reputation discount. Likely, if you're crashing a lot, then that reputation discount will, I would say, become less, or maybe you need to start paying more insurance. I'm not sure because that was not really clear from the screenshots, also not from the description. If you're in the initial stage of your career, then the good news is that you don't need to pay for the damage costs, because if you're crashing, it will also cost money, right? Because the aircraft might need to be repaired. Initially, the company which you're flying for will pay it, but eventually, if you own your own planes, you will have to pay it yourself. So, what is causing those crashes and damage to the aircraft? Well, if you crash your own plane, right, then it will simply be lost. The good news is that if you want to start a career mode from scratch, you can still do it based on what they explained. So you can still start from scratch and then you can try it again. The other thing which can happen is that your aircraft gets damaged, right? So it's not completely broken, but it's, I would say, partially broken. How is that being, I would say, calculated? Well, right, that's being calculated using the physics and the forces involved in the impact. So if you're making a very hard landing, for example, then it could be that some parts of the aircraft are breaking, but not the whole aircraft. So that's really good to now understand that that's the way the system works. Then, okay, we know that in Flight Simulator 2024 has a huge dependency on the internet. We already saw, okay, hey, if you're losing internet connection for 30 seconds up to 1 minute, then eventually you will become get into trouble. So will it have an impact on the damage on the aircraft? Asobo confirmed that that's not the case. Only the in-sim physics-based events can cause damage or loss of the aircraft, which is, I would say, good, because else you sometimes could get screwed, right, if your internet connection is pretty unstable. And that's where we end with, I would say, the review of the, I would say, how do we call it? And that's where we end the video about the career mode, right? We looked at a lot of, I would say, different angles from it. I would say the career mode gives a lot of cool things, gives a lot of options, and I do think that a lot of people will love it. Maybe you still prefer to, let's say, kind of free flight, right? So not really following missions, but I do think that a lot of people really like it. So have fun with flying those careers and missions once Flight Simulator 2024 is available. Again, here we end this video. Thanks for watching this video. I hope you liked it. Make sure to watch also the other videos on my channel, which contain a lot of content about Flight Simulator 2024, such as which aircraft will be available, which versions will be available, but also more details about some things like system requirements, for example. Really important because you still have some time if you need to upgrade your hardware, because on the 19th of November, that's when Flight Simulator 2024 will be released. Thanks for watching, I hope you liked it, and I wish you happy flying.